Okay, cool. Thank you, sir. All right, cool. So for today, I'm going to be going over some exam strategies, exam taking strategies, which a lot of schools don't cover for some reason, especially private schools. But that's why I've taken the liberty to do this so that you guys actually figure out how to study, right? Most of you guys know what to do, what you guys know what subjects to take, how much to revise, but you guys don't really know how to study. You guys know what to study, but you don't know how to study. And that's what we're going to solve today. Right? So these exam strategies that I'm talking about can be applied for IGCSE, A levels, etc. Anything that's to do with academics, you can apply these strategies. All right. So first things first. Who am I? Why should you even bother taking half an hour out of your Saturday, your weekend, to listen to me? Why should you even care? Why should you even listen to this guy yapping and talking about some exam strategies? Why? Why are you even wasting? Why should you even spend your time here? Well, let me tell you why. Let's go back to 2020. Let's go back to 5 years ago when I was in year 10, 1 year away from my IGCSEs. Okay, I was a happy boy. That's me 5 years ago. I was a happy boy, enjoying my teenage years, going out with friends, going to this party, that party, etc. I was chilling and I was enjoying. I was doing what a year 10 student was supposed to do, right? A grade 10, year 10 student. I was enjoying and I was just going with the flow. Okay, if you're wondering why I wore a mask here, it's because, when I was in year 10, it was technically like half quarantine, half not quarantine. So it was all COVID. And everything was going well in year 10 until reality hit me like a wrecking ball. I picked 9 subjects for my IGCSEs. Some of you here have picked 6, some of you here have picked 11, some of you here have picked 8. So I picked 9. So these were the subjects I took: biology, chemistry, physics, maths, English first language, Bahasa Malaysia because it's compulsory for Malaysians, geography, and global perspectives. If you're wondering what global perspectives is, it's a research-based paper. It falls under humanities for sure. You have to write research papers, theses, and things like that, right? So, I thought I was the big man. I thought I could handle triple sciences, double maths, languages, humanities. All my friends were doing it, so why couldn't I? Right? If they did it, if some of my friends took 10 subjects, right? So it was kind of like an ego thing as well. If they're taking 10, oh, I can take 9. I can do anything in this world. So I just took on 9 subjects and I wanted to prove I was great, right? But then, little did I know, I was not my friends. I was not the big man I thought I was. I simply could not handle all of these heavy subjects. I overestimated myself to an extensive degree. Everything started to fall apart when I was in year 10. I started flopping in all my subjects. And my school started to think to themselves, I don't think this kid can handle 9 subjects. Is he out of his mind? Like, what's going on? Right? I flopped and I flopped hard. This was all my grades from the start of year 10. So for an maths, it's a bit blurry, but it's got a C, it's got a D. For mathematics, it's got a B, C. Over here, if you're wondering why it's a B or a C, it's a predicted grade they give you, and the actual grade is a B. But still, to me, it was pretty bad because I was predicted a C. That's still not good. That's considered average. Physics, C, Bs. Art and drama, D and C. Life did not look good at all. I was really going downhill, right? I thought it couldn't get any worse. I thought, okay, fine. The worst I could get is a D. I can't go worse than that, right? That's what I thought as well until at the end of year 10, it says year 12 over here, but it's actually year 10. At the end of year 10, exactly 12 months from my IGCSE, because IGCSE I take in year 11, I scored a U for my maths. So some of you here don't even know what a U is. So what is a U? A U is a grade below an F. Imagine you fail in a subject, but that's not the worst you can get. There's still levels to this, right? If you score a U, you score below an F. You know what that means? That means when the examiner is marking your paper, they just stop halfway and throw your paper aside because it's so bad. There's nothing to mark. All the answers are wrong. That's what it means. So I was between the range of 0 to 19%. That's below an F. F students score 30 to 39%, but I was at a U. It's considered below an F. It's the worst grade the school has ever seen. And I did not tell all my friends because, I was shy of admitting that I sucked so much, right? Use a grade below F. And in other words, I was grilled, stir-fried, baked, and cooked. I was gone. I was completely gone. I was failing in everything. I scored a U for ad maths. I thought I had no future, honestly. And in 2020, I sucked so much when I was in year 10. I sucked. So this was after all my grades. I sucked so much that the school sent my parents an email that telling me I should drop subjects. And this email, the school sent to my parents without informing me. So it was a bit of a surprise, right? The head of mathematics told me to drop ad maths and just take math and technically kind of reconsider my academic future because things are not going well, right? My school left me all alone. I had to figure this out all by myself. The school abandoned me. My parents were extremely disappointed with me, to say the least. My friends were busy with their own thing, and I was just all alone. And then I thought to myself, why do I suck so much? Why are all my friends better than me? Why do they get good grades so easily? How do they make it seem so effortless? Why is this happening to me? What's going to happen to my future? Can I ever make it? Will my parents be disappointed with me forever? All of these questions were going through my head. And keep in mind, I was just 15 years old. I was 15 years old. I had no one to support me, and I was just all by myself with all of these questions going through my head every single day. Yeah, this is how I was back then. I have to figure this out. I had no choice. It was literally all or nothing. Like, my future is on the line here. If I flop my IGs, that will lead me, that everything will just start to fall apart, right? Because IGCSEs are the foundation, at least for us, since we are in the British international curriculum. So I had to lock in. I had to lock in, right? In the next 10 to 12 months, I had to develop my own system for studying, right? I wanted to create a system that makes studying so simple that I look forward to it every day. I wake up, I go to my room, I do my work, I get out, I sleep, and I repeat this process every single day. And that's what I did. I spent the next 10 to 12 months in my room, no distractions, no going out, no friends, no partying, no enjoying, nothing, absolutely nothing, right? I was locked in. I had no choice, right? So now, fast forward 10 to 12 months later, it's year 11, the month of IGCSE. Everything that I worked hard for in the past 10 to 12 months was put to test, right? I sat for my IGCSEs and I left it to the hands of the universe to help me out. After all, I tried my absolute hardest. If I fail, you know what? It is what it is. If I succeed, well, then good for me, right? I gave up. I tried. I gave everything I could, right? So we can only do so much. Other than that, it's up to your fate and the universe. At least that's how I believe in things. So then results came out, and guess what? It worked. Everything that I worked for in the past 10 to 12 months worked out. I went from failing grades to 8 A's and A stars within the span of 10 to 12 months. Remember that ATMAT grade that I scored? I scored a U. If you remember that, the grade below an F. 10 months later, 10 to 12 months later, I ended up scoring an 89% for my ATMath. I went from 0 to 19% to 89% within the span of 10 to 12 months. I was just 1% away from an A star or a grade 9. I was just at 1% away from scoring 90 plus. And my school did not believe my transformation whatsoever. They were speechless, to say the absolute least. The teachers, examiners, head of department, homeroom tutors, they were all confused. How the heck did this boy manage to pull this off? It was less than 10 to 12 months ago where we told him to drop his subjects. How is this happening now? Right? They were so shocked that they invited me back to the school. They invited their own student back to the school just so I can teach the system to all of the other students. This is a message over here from one of the head of departments. This is actually the very same person who told me to drop my ad math. He told me to come back to school and he wants me to teach, right? As you can see the text over there. will you be interested to teach for one term in my international school for a few months? Right? And he found me on Facebook, and he was shocked that he heard my name. And because of this transformation from going from failing to scoring 8 A's and A stars, because of this transformation, I received not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 recommendation letters from the school saying that I am a top and stellar student. Recommendation letter 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a bit blurry here, sorry. 5. 5 testimonials from the school itself, because the school simply couldn't believe what I achieved. So now, what's in this for you? You might be thinking, good for you, bro, but like, how will this work for me? Let me tell you this. 3 of you here, or however many people are on this call, all of you guys, all of you students are not that special, right? I'm sorry, you guys are not special, right? The reason I'm saying this is because you're not that special that the techniques I used for myself will not work for you. You're not so special that the techniques forget me out of this. You're not as special that the techniques for your friends that are scoring good grades, for all the other top students you know of, you're not that special that their technique will not work for you. We are all created equal, and if it works for one person, it will work for you as well. And this is exactly what we're going to solve in all of these sessions that we will be having every week. I'm going to give you the exact system I use to go from failing grades to 8 A stars and A's for free, so that you can skip all the parts where I struggled and just apply the parts where I succeeded in 1/4 the time it took me, as soon as today. Right? So let's get into the good stuff. There are too many things I did. I simply cannot cover a 10 to 12 month process in one session, but I will give you a few for the session as time is of the essence. If someone held a gun to my head and asked me to reveal all my secrets, I would boil it down to 3 things, right? In the context of larger things, I did so many other things, right? Obviously, you don't just do 3 things and get straight, 8 A's and A stars. But if I were to give you guys a recap, it would be these 3 things. Number 1, active recall. Number 2, self-testing. Number 3, the Feynman technique. I'm going to go over it again because I want this to get registered in your head. Active recall, self-testing, Feynman technique. All you need to succeed for IGCSEs and any academic thing that you guys are dealing with, right? So let's touch on active recall. What is active recall? Active recall is the act of constantly putting your brain in pain in order to recall information that you learned. Right? It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. So one of the best ways to use active recall is by using flashcards. When you use flashcards, you constantly try to recall before revealing the answer. This action that you guys do, like when you take a flashcard, it's 2 sides, right? The cards are 2 sides. You write the question in front and you write the answer at the back, right? When you look at the question, you try to think so hard before revealing the answers. This is called putting your brain in pain, right? It kind of hurts when you try to recall information. So this action of putting your brain in pain actually forces the neurons in your brain to rewire and build stronger connections, which makes learning information faster and more permanent. Take a look at this curve. This is what happens when you learn new information. You can just follow my cursor over here. Let's say you learn something new. You learn that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You learned it in class. Immediately after class, by the way, the y-axis over here means the amount of information you remembered, and over here is the time, right? So when you learn something in class, you immediately forget it. It's human nature. It is what it is, right? It happens to everyone. right? This is why we forget the names of people. Because let's say I introduce myself, hi, my name is Monish. And then Suhail is like, hi, Monish, nice to meet you. And then 2 weeks later, if I go to Suhail and be like, yo, bro, what's going on? What's good? Suhail is like, crap, I can't remember your name. Why is that? Because I only told him my name once. That's it. It's the same thing that's happening with you in class. When you learn a new information, you forget it very quickly because you only learned it once. It's human brain, it's human nature, right? So let's say, let me show you a cheat code on how to beat this curve, right? Let's say you learn new information. Instead of keeping it and just not looking back at the information, right? So when you guys learn new information, you forget it. 10 minutes, a day passes, 1 week passes, a month passes, you remember absolutely nothing. By the time it's 1 month, you only remember 10% of what you learned in class. Like, take a look at this, right? When you learn something in class, it's at about 80%. As soon as it's 24 hours later or 1 day later, it's at 45%. That's almost a 50% decrease in what you in remembering what you learned, simply because you forgot, right? So a way to beat this is, let's say you learn something in class. Don't wait for a day. Don't wait for a day. As soon as 10 minutes passes, or it can be half an hour. Oh, I don't know why is this free. I did upgrade to Pro. Okay, anyways, you learn something in class, right? Do not wait a day until you look back at the information. Let's say you learn a squared plus b squared equals to c squared. Don't wait a day, right? Review that information after you come back from school. You don't have to do it in 10 minutes because you still might be in class. But when you come back from school, just go home, go to your table, and just open your notes and look back at what you learned. It's pretty simple. Things like this are not rocket science, right? When you look back at what you learned, you kind of beat the forgetting curve. You start at 80 instead of starting at 40 something. You start back at 80, 70 to 80. You start back. And then 1 day later, you look back at the information. Then 1 week later, you look back at the information. And then 1 month later, when you look back at the information, it stays at about 100 to 80%. Which is better, remembering 80 to 100% of what you learned in class, or remembering 10 to 20% of what you learned in class? Obviously 80 to 100, because you need to remember 80 to 100% of the information you learned in class so that you can score a grade A or higher in your exams, because grade A starts at 80, right? So let's just do the math. It's simple. If grade A starts at 80 and above, what does that mean? You need to remember 80% or more of the information you learned. It's pretty simple, correct? So I would highly recommend you guys to start using flashcards. This applies more for biology, chemistry, physics, and all subjects that doesn't require active practice, meaning things like math and add math and things which just requires you to sit down and do work. It doesn't apply for that. This more applies for humanities because there's a lot of information to learn. Active recall applies best for subjects when there is an absolute crazy amount of information to learn in a very short amount of time, right? So for subjects like biology, chemistry, physics, economics, business, geography, history, I'm listing like 7 subjects here, you can start using flashcards. It's one of the best things that you can do in your life right now. It's one of the most powerful techniques in the planet. I have not seen anything more powerful than this, right? For remembering informations, flashcards are genuinely a cheat code, right? So for flashcards, I recommend using Anki, Anki. It's online, it's completely free. And you guys, when you come back from school, you can start writing questions at the back and answers at the front, right? Let me show you guys. I hope you can still see my screen. So if you go to Anki over here, this is a flashcard tool that you guys can use. You guys write the question in front and the answer at the back. And you can kind of rank how you felt about it. If you felt that you need to look at the question again, or if the question's too hard, or if it's good, you remember what you learned, or if the question's too easy, right? So I highly recommend using flashcards. It's one of the best things you guys can do, honestly, to your studies, right? And the second method that I want to go through today, which I will honestly talk more in our next session, but the second method is self-testing, right? Self-testing applies for all subjects, but it applies strongly to math. I want to highlight self-testing for math and add math here, right? Do you hear people saying this phrase, just do past years, just do past years, just do past years? just do past year papers, just do practice questions. Why do people actually recommend that? It's because when you do practice questions, you keep seeing the question over and over again, because at the end of the day, all these exams are patterns. They are more or less the same thing from the previous year, but just a little tweak, right? These exam boards are lazy. Do you think they can come up with 100% new ideas every single year just to test students? No, they also want to get it done and dusted with. They want to make you guys sit for an exam, and they want you guys to move on to the next chapter of your life, right? So it's pretty simple. They've actually made it pretty simple for you. All you need to do is just do past years, right? Take a past year, do it, look at your mistakes, and don't repeat the same mistake in your second past year. It's that easy, right? So imagine doing this over and over again. It will feel as though when you are in the actual exam taking your IGCSEs, you will feel that it's just another past year paper. Oh, it's just a bunch of practice questions again. You will feel so confident in taking exams because you have done it a million times before, right? At the end of the day, why does anxiety occur? Anxiety occurs because there is a lack of action. Why do you feel anxious about speaking on stage? Because you haven't done it before. Why do you feel anxious or nervous taking an exam? Because you haven't practiced enough questions. You are scared of what's going to come up in the exam. So how do you beat this? You beat this by doing more questions. All of you guys are complicating this to a crazy degree. It's actually very simple. All you need to do is take past year, do it, and repeat over and over again. And if you pair self-testing with active recall, it's going to explode your grades. Explode your grades in a very short amount of time. So I would like to touch on Feynman technique, but I don't think we have time today. So if you guys were to take something from this video, from this session today, it's definitely active recall by flashcards. Start doing this today. Download Anki. It's pretty simple. It will take less time than brushing your teeth. Brushing your teeth takes like 3 to 5 minutes. Downloading Anki also takes 3 to 5 minutes, right? Open your browser, download Anki, download it into your laptop. I'm pretty sure some of you here have Windows or Mac. It does not matter. Anki supports both. And start writing your questions in front and answer at the back so that you guys can review. This is something you can implement today, right? And pair this with self-testing, which is basically past years, and you guys will see a great improvement in your results. I promise you. Okay? So I'm just going to stop sharing over here. What do you guys think of the techniques I showed today? Any thoughts? Anything you guys want to say? Louis Tomlinson.
About like the active recalling thing.
Yep.
Let's say I don't want to use like flashcards online because I'm already in my school. I'm already like staring at my laptop the whole day. So what is it okay if I like write it down in a paper and try to like flashcards on paper?
Yeah, sure, you can do that, but it's just
Is
going to
it
make your life
as
hard.
effective?
Yeah, it's effective, but it's just going to make, like, you're going to have so many papers. Like, there's technology to help us with that stuff now. Don't you agree? Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yep. Suhal, how about you?
Um, yeah, I understand the concept of active recall.
Cool. Louis
It's,
Tomlinson. Didn't know we have One Direction guy over here. Louis Tomlinson, any questions, Louis Tomlinson? I just admitted you're pretty late, so you should have joined earlier.
No questions, no questions.
No questions? Okay. Who is he actually? Who is I don't know. I wish you put your real name. I don't know who you are. Grisha, any questions?
No, sir. Actually, I already started with the flashcards.
Let's go. Let's go. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Speed to action. Speed to action. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm happy. So
Yeah,
guys,
thanks a lot for the tips, though.
anytime, bro. Anytime. Anytime. So yeah, that's all it will be for today's session. For tomorrow, we have a mindset. I have a mindset session at 6 to 6:30. So we'll be going through mindset stuff. Because when I was grinding, obviously I had to keep my mind in check. I was going through a lot of mental pain. So I will talk about ways to overcome that tomorrow from 6 to 6:30, so you guys can join that sesh. But yeah, that's all it'll be. That's all it'll be for today's sesh, and I will send you guys a recording if you guys want. Cool. All right, guys. Enjoy your Saturday. 10 coffees a day to help stress. Who is this? I don't know who this is. Okay,
So
Louis
it's like,
Tomlinson. Is that you?
no, it's my brother.
Oh my days. You guys are trolling
He said
me.
he needs your help at university.
I'm happy to help, bro. All my techniques work across everything. No worries, okay? Louis Tomlinson, I'm so happy you take time out of your busy schedule to come join my call.
He's free only, don't worry.
It's free? Okay, cool. All right, guys. I don't know. I bought Pro for like buttload of money. I don't know why it's free Zoom, but okay, whatever. So guys, I will see you tomorrow. I gotta end the meeting now, and I'll send you the recording. Cool. All good?